and welcome to my channel. I'm Mandy Grace. Today's video is all about the books that I read in February. So this year, in 2021, I have actual reading goals instead of just reading on a whim like I usually do. I have a giant physical TBR stack that I have had for several years now and just keep adding to it. So my goal for 2021 is to get through all of the books on my stack of books that I own but have never read, plus a few books that I have borrowed from other people. So with the initial math that I did with this stack, I needed to read 4.5 books every month to get through every single book. The ones that I own and haven't read, and the ones that I have already borrowed and haven't read. And then on top of the 4.5 books that I'm trying to read every month, I'm also trying to read one book on writing craft every month, because I'm trying to become better at this whole author thing. The point is, did I read 4.5 books plus one writing craft book in February? First and foremost, I read The Confusion by Stevenson, which I enjoyed much more than Quicksilver, which is the book that came before. Also, this thing is 815 pages. It took me 2 solid weeks to read it, and I was therefore behind on the rest of my reading from then on out, because this is basically 2.5 books on its own. But it only counts as one, which is a little tragic. After that, I read The 25th Hour by David Binioff. I think that's how you say his last name, whatever. I didn't really like this one. I have read another book by him, The City of Thieves, which I actually did really enjoy. This one I didn't really like. Also on my list of things that threw me off. So The Confusion took 2 weeks, and I read nothing else except for that for the first 2 weeks. And then the third week of this month, I was sick, so I didn't read anything. And then in the fourth and final week, I was trying desperately to catch up on my 4.5 books. I did decently well. I read quite a few books for 1 week. The next book that I read is The Color of Compromise by Jamar Tisby. I'm really bad with names, don't judge me. The Truth About the American Church's Complicity in Racism. This one I really enjoyed a lot. It was thought-provoking and heartbreaking, and I cried, and I got like so angry I slammed the book shut, and not that I was angry at the author, but I was angry at the history that he was presenting and being like, this happened, and I was like, why? What is wrong with you people? But anyway, this was, yeah, this was a really good read. There were some things that were a little unfortunate. So, in the presenting, it basically just presents the history and how the church interacted with the history of the United States for the past, how many, over 100 years. Starting before the United States was even formed, and then it just is like, this is what was going on in this time period. This is what the church was doing, which in general was not good. Anyway, and then it goes all the way through, you know, our wonderful history. Slavery, you know, the segregation, all the, just, there's a lot, anyway, goes through all of the stuff, which was all great and wonderful, and actually was awful. It was awful, but the book was great and wonderful. My biggest thing is that I was loving the book, and I was loving the way everything was presented, and it has so many citations, and it feels very credible, right? It feels very, very credible, and I was super loving it, and I was like, I'm gonna promote this to every single one of my Christian friends and be like, you need to read this and just sit with it and take a good long look at your life. You know what I mean? Because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to sit with it and take a good long look at my life and, you know, opinions and whatnot, you know, biases, I don't know, things. I was trying to sit with it. But the further we got into the book and the more that it was trying to make its argument for how the church should be acting about this whole racism issue versus the way that they are acting, it was less credible because it was not accurate. And for someone who doesn't read the Bible, you know, it's not necessarily gonna make any difference to them, but this is specifically geared towards Christians, and like, this is how Christians have interacted with racism throughout history. We need to fix this. So Christians and people who read their Bibles are the ones who are going to be reading this, and they should notice the things that I noticed. It was kind of little stuff, but also if you get this sort of stuff wrong, then it's easy to question whether you're presenting the history wrong as well. It was things like saying that Daniel escaped from a fiery furnace when in fact he was the lion's den, and it was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who escaped the fiery furnace. And then there was one point where the author was explaining the story about the Apostle Peter, who was eating with the Gentiles just fine, and then the Jews show up, and then he backs off. And he doesn't want to eat with the Gentiles anymore, with the Jews watching him, because, like, that's a no-no for them, and he doesn't want to be, you know, shamed or whatnot. Anyway, which is all well and good, and it was a great example, except that he called him Paul instead of Peter, which is a completely different person. And so it just felt like, and all of these things happened later in the book. So it was frustrating, because up to that point I felt like it was a great resource, and then we got further in and he started giving scriptural examples and he was wrong. I was just like, I want this book to be the kind of book that I can give to everyone, but like if I do give it to people, they're gonna be like, this guy doesn't even know the Bible. Well, you ain't wrong, but I don't know. It was heartbreaking to me to find that, because then I can't. I want to say that all the history in this book and like the way that it was presented with the American church being complicit in racism through all of these different examples that were in the book, I want to say that they're all accurate, but I can't say that they're all accurate without, you know, doing a hell of a lot of research myself, because the biblical stuff wasn't accurate. So, is the rest of it? I don't know. Oh, I was so frustrated because I loved the book. Someone needed to, you know, edit this. Also, I love that it was published by Zondervan. Like, how did these people, who missed this? Who was like, oh yeah, that's fine. We don't need the Bible to be quoted correctly in this book about the church. Anyway, it was very frustrating. I loved the book, and it really made me think, and it made me cry, and it was great. It just, I don't know how credible it was, you guys. I don't know. The next book that I read, I'm actually only like a third of the way through this one, is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Oh my goodness. Yep. This one's a hard hitter. I've been crying the whole way through. Lots of tears. And we are only 142 pages into it. There's a lot to go, and I've been crying the whole time, so I imagine there will be a lot of crying. It's fine. This is what I've done. I was supposed to do 4.5 books a month. I only did 3.5, but all of these were just in 1 week. This was just, my camera died because that's just the sort of luck that I have. But what I was saying was, the first 2 weeks were the confusion. The third week I was sick. And then the fourth week I did these 3 books, even though I didn't quite finish this one. So I feel, you know, that I did decently well, all things considered. Especially because this book counts as 3, I swear. So I think, you know, I did the thing. The other book that I have to read every month is a book on writing craft. And I did do that. I read Story Structure Architect and kind of hated it. So... Yep, that's where we're at. This one was just very, 2 things. One, it was kind of textbooky, I guess, and it wasn't presenting anything that I didn't already know, and it wasn't presenting things that I knew in a new and interesting fashion to make me really think about it, or, you know, it was just like, okay, yeah, I know that. Also, the way that the book is laid out, with all of the, like, blue lines and things happening, and it was, stressing me out just to look at the book. Like, I was genuinely stressed looking at the pages. So just all in all, I did not like this book. There you go. Oh look, you can kind of see me in The Hate You Give. It's very, when I was trying to take a picture of this for Instagram people, it was not happening. It's too gold. And then I am waiting till I finish the book to, you know, look this up and see if this was, you know, a choice made by the author for a specific reason. It is white. It is the whitest white underneath. So I really, you know, I was trying to take a picture for Instagram. I was like, oh look, it's just me and my camera. This is unfortunate. Hello. And then, like, I tried to adjust slightly, but then it was just showing off my bedroom, and I was having some serious trouble. So then I took this off, and I was like, I can't take a picture of a white book and be like, hey, look what I'm reading for Black History Month. Anyway. But no, I feel like after I finish it, I am gonna look it up and see if there's some sort of symbolism to that, or if someone was just like, let's make it a white book. It feels like an odd choice, okay? I'm just not gonna lie, it feels like an odd choice.